All right, Algebra 1 students, let's look at Unit 3, Lesson 7, the correlation coefficient. So there are two goals here. I can describe the goodness of fit of a linear model using the correlation coefficient. So we're going to get the correlation of coefficient, and then we're going to understand what this is saying and how it tells us whether a line is a good fit, a bad fit, somewhere in between. I can match the correlation coefficient with a scatter plot and linear model. So if we know what the correlation coefficient is, we should be able to pick out which linear model and which scatter plot with that linear model are most likely the ones that made that correlation coefficient. All right, so our vocabulary. Line of best fit. Remember, that's just a line that is modeling data, and it should be the best line that we can get to fit that data, to model it. Residual, that's the distance between the actual value and the estimated value from the linear model. And then we have correlation coefficient, number between -1 and 1 that describes the strength and direction of a linear association between two variables. So there are basically four things that it's telling you. Well, two, but they could go in two different ways, each of them. So it could be a negative or a positive number. Negative just means that the line is decreasing. Positive means that it's increasing. It also could be close to 0, or it could be close to 1 and -1. If it's closer to 0, that means there's a weak association. It means that the data is pretty far away from your line. If it's close to 1 and -1, that means that there's a strong association, meaning the data is very close to the line. The residuals are smaller in 1s and -1s. They're bigger in 0s. All right, so for your warm-up, we have a very simple which one doesn't belong. I have 4 graphs, and then you need to tell me which one you think doesn't belong with the other 4 and explain why, and then bring that to class tomorrow for our discussion. So in A, we have the X being distance in miles and the Y being cost in dollars, and this is the graph that it makes. In B, we have the X being height in millimeters and the Y being weight in milligrams, and here's the graph that we get from that. In C, we have the X being precipitation in centimeters and water used for irrigation in thousands of gallons. All right, and then for D, we have the X being temperature in degrees Celsius and the Y being number of phytoplankton in tens of thousands, and then here's the graph. So decide which one you think doesn't belong, give your explanation why you chose it, and then that's going to start our conversation tomorrow. Thanks.